talking about a new generation.
What would you do if your world champion horse was nearing the end of a successful life? Royal Blue Boom, a famed cutting mare, had reached senior citizen status at the age of 26. This world champion mare had gone on to become the all-time leading producer of cutting horses in the world. Her foals were known for their outstanding cow sense, speed, trainability, but above all, they inherited their dam's sweet disposition. But due to her age, Royal Blue Boom could no longer be bred. How could her owners possibly preserve the fantastic genetics of this mare? One word: cloning. And in 2006, Royal Blue Boom 2 was born, leading us into a new generation. Hi, my name is Crystal Mitchell and I'm 17 years old. I am a senior member of the Oregon State National 4-H team. There are numerous pros and cons to cloning, as well as the mechanics of cloning and a few health concerns. There are, however, numerous horses and other animals that have been successfully cloned. First of all, many people aren't exactly sure how cloning works. In short, it is a genetically identical copy of a cell or an organism through non-sexual means, known as somatic cell nuclear transfer. However, the actual process of cloning is a little more complicated than that. A tissue sample is taken from an adult horse, generally from the neck, and the cells are extracted, cultured, and the DNA is harvested. An unfertilized egg, or oocyte, is removed from a donor mare, and the DNA is removed from that oocyte. The DNA from the tissue sample is then injected into that empty oocyte. After it has been stimulated, it begins to divide, forming an embryo. The embryo is then transferred from the laboratory to a recipient mare. After an 11-month gestation period, a genetically identical foal is born. Of course, cloning your world champion horse comes with a hefty price tag. For the first clone of an animal through the Texas-based company Viagen, it will cost around $150,000, with each subsequent clone of that animal costing $90,000. But many experts expect this number to decrease as the efficiency of cloning increases. Clones can have a few health issues once born, but the same issues can occur in regularly produced foals as well. A few of the common problems associated with clones include tendon contraction, maladjustment, and enlarged umbilical remnants. Another huge concern amongst many people is premature aging. Katrin Hinrichs, chairman of reproductive studies at Texas A&M University, says that due to the fact that cells used for cloning are skin cells instead of mammary cells, the chances of premature aging are unlikely. So, despite the high costs and the health risks, why on earth would anyone want to clone a horse? There are both emotional attachment reasons and non-emotional attachment reasons. Emotional attachment reasons are done for the love of the horse, but generally, non-emotional attachment reasons are seen more frequently in order to preserve the genetics and bloodlines, such as those of Royal Blue Boom. Other reasons may include cloning an athlete or cloning a gelded or otherwise infertile horse. Superior champions and athletes are cloned in the hopes that the clone will carry on the winning ways of its predecessor. But the clone possessing that same athletic ability is uncertain and cannot be predicted. There is also no guarantee that the clone will look exactly like the original. 5 clones were produced from the famed cutting horse Smart Little Lena. Each clone has the same base coat color, but different markings. Even identical human twins are not 100% alike. Horse owners do need to be aware of one thing before they clone their horse. Clones are not allowed to be registered by some of the most powerful breed registries in the world, including the American Paint Horse Association, the American Quarter Horse Association, and the Jockey Club for Thoroughbreds. The Paint Horse Association's rulebook has strict wording stating that, quote, horses produced via cloning methods are not eligible for registration, end quote. There are, however, numerous competitions that do not require registration that a clone could compete in, such as reining, cutting, jumping, open horse shows, and rodeo. Perhaps the most famous clone is not even a horse at all. It is Dolly the sheep. Born in 1996 in Edinburgh, Scotland, Dolly was the first clone of an adult mammal. Idaho Gem, a famed racing mule born in May of 2003 at the University of Idaho, was the first clone of an adult equine. Later in 2003, Prometia became the first clone of an adult horse. Her birth was the result of producing over 800 embryos, but with only 22 of those embryos being viable in the end. That means only 2.8% of those embryos survived to a stage when they could be placed into a recipient mare. Prometia also broke records again in 2008 when she became the first horse to carry an offspring. Other famous horses that have been used to create clones include show jumper Joe Twist, bucking horse Go Wild, and barrel racing super horse Scamper. Scamper was just an average feedlot gelding who Charmaine James saw something extra special in. That extra something special carried her to 10 world championship titles and numerous thrilling rides, including one totally bridleless at the National Finals Rodeo after her bridle broke, going around the first barrel. But since Scamper was a gelding, there would have been no way to carry on his bloodlines and his pedigree without the advances in cloning, especially with his recent death in July. Clayton, Scamper's clone, is currently standing stud at the Buffalo Ranch in Weatherford, Texas, and he was born on August 6, 2008. So, if you were Royal Blue Boon's owner, would you clone her? Despite the health risks, the cost, the chance that the clone might not even have the same athletic ability, despite the fact that he can't even be registered in some of the most powerful breed registries in the world, would you do all of this in order to preserve those few precious strands of DNA? I chose this topic for my presentation due to the fact that cloning is a hot and controversial topic in the horse world today. Also, the mechanics of cloning and the amount of dedication it takes to produce a clone interests me. I know that if I had an extra $150,000 laying around the house, I would most certainly clone my beloved paint horse, Scribbled Flip Bar, but for the emotional attachment reasons that I have. My references for this topic include TheHorse.com, Horse Illustrated Magazine, an article in an issue of The Horse Magazine, the American Paint Horse Association Rulebook, and Dr. Christine Mitchell, a veterinarian. Thank you for your attention. Are there any questions or comments?
Are there any performance records available on any of these cloned animals to determine if they have, in fact, maintained that athletic ability?
The question asked was, are there any performance records kept on these cloned animals to see if they possess the same athletic ability? I know for the Idaho Gem famed racing mule that they cloned, he has won numerous races, and I believe his owners have kept like a list, and he has a website that you can go to and look at all of his racing wins and see what his times were as far as like breaking track records or anything like that. And I know that Royal Blue Boon too, they've started her with training, and an interesting story that was along with that was that her training has progressed about the same as Royal Blue Boon. So it was very interesting to read that and see how her training has been almost identical to her predecessor.
You said that clones can be registered, but obviously a big motivator would be, as I said, continue that line.
Yeah.
So what happens then to their progeny? Can their offspring be registered?
The question asked was, can the progeny of clones be registered? As of right now, they're not allowing them since they can still consider it to be like an unnatural method of producing horses. But in one article I found during my research was that they were talking about possibly creating a registry specifically for clones and their progeny, as far as like having like a specific registry just for clones, for their offspring since they still can't be registered. And some of the breed associations have talked about allowing clones, offspring to be registered, but they're still in that, no, we will not register horses that haven't been produced via the natural methods.
Considering the possible physical problems that can develop to these cloned animals, do you have any statistics how many people are considering this risk and doing cloning?
The question asked was, do I have any statistics as far as how many people are considering cloning, despite the possible effects that they might have at birth? During my research, I couldn't really find a specific number, but I know that the same illnesses that occur with the clones, my mom, she's a veterinarian, she's had some people with foals that were born that have had the same illnesses, like with the enlarged umbilical remnants, which is essentially a hernia at the umbilical cord site. She's had horses with those issues. So I didn't find a specific number of the statistics, but I would love to research it and get back to you on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job.